What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another stimulus update. So earlier today, I did two different videos. Earlier this morning, I referenced how Pramila Jayapal was talking about an additional $2,000 per month stimulus check. Just this afternoon, I addressed a similar proposal, but from Ro Khanna, another Democratic representative from the House, who's proposing a $2,000 stimulus check per month as well. However, it's not per person, it's per household, and it only extends for 3 months. So here's what I want to do right now. I received a lot of questions in both videos from people asking, how likely is a $2,000 per month stimulus check? Well, here's my honest take on this. In my personal opinion, okay, I've been doing research on the stimulus packages for over a year now, or about a year now. And so what I can tell you is I honestly don't see a $2,000 per month stimulus check passing for each individual per person. I don't see that happening. Could it happen for a household? Yes, it could. That's a lot more likely. And if it only extends for 3 months, the chances of that passing are much higher than a monthly $2,000 stimulus check for an entire year and then $1,000 for a year after that. So just to give you an idea, right now, I don't believe President Biden would even accept a $2,000 per month stimulus check in a package simply because my guess is right now he would expect that that money would be better used on other things, especially when he's currently working on his roughly $2 to $3 trillion Build Back Better plan. What we do know is this would be very difficult to pass through the House or the Senate as well because of Joe Manchin and obviously the 50 Republicans that would not support a $2,000 per month stimulus check. Here's the reason why I bring all this up. Because, and we've seen this before, we've seen this from Republicans, we've seen it from Democrats. Democrats always go above and beyond and provide more than what is needed, or in most cases what is needed, right? Everybody wants, a little bit extra, but they go above and beyond what economists and advisors are telling them. And you got the Republicans on the other hand that go, below and far below. For example, months ago when we were trying to pass that stimulus package, you had Democrats saying we want $3.4 trillion. Then they came down to 2.4. But at the same time, economists are saying we need about $1.6 trillion. Well, and then the economists are like, no, we need about 1.7. Okay, let's just say 1.6. You got Republicans coming out, Mitch McConnell's like, you know what? We need $500 billion. And that's where that kind of jockeying for position starts. So what we do know right now is that what we are seeing is even though people are proposing $2,000 per month stimulus checks, what I believe is we will see an additional stimulus check. This will not go to every single American like last time or like it's currently going out now. What we will see is most likely we will see checks from $600 to $1,500 between those two figures. Okay, and this is just my guess based off of all the research I've done, based off what other experts are saying. Again, I'm not an expert. I just do my research and I fill you in on everything that I'm currently reading. So what I expect is it will be anywhere between $600 and $1,500, and it would go to people that most likely, individuals that make not $50,000 to $100,000, not couples that make over $100,000. This is going to go to the hardest hit individuals. So most likely those that, for an individual, makes less than $30,000 per year. There might not even be a cutoff. We might not even see a phase out. We might just see it cuts off at $30,000. And for a couple, it's $60,000. Doesn't matter about kids. It's 30 and 60, right? And again, those are just my numbers I'm kind of tossing out there because you're doing all my research. But what I can tell you right now is no, I don't think a $2,000 per month stimulus check is ever going to happen. But the talks of the $2,000 per month stimulus check are starting to ramp up. They're starting to increase, which means chances are we're going to see another stimulus check. As to the amount and who would get it, currently we just don't know. But I wanted to fill you in on that because I feel a lot of people are kind of misinterpreting what I'm trying to say. And maybe I'm not 100% clear on that. And again, if that's the case, completely sorry. I didn't mean to lead you on and think we're going to get a $2,000 per month stimulus check. I don't think that's going to happen, especially at this point, this late in the game. I just don't see the current administration doing that, especially with Republicans trying to vote against it, obviously, but I don't think Democrats will do that, being that there's other priorities that they currently want to tackle. Now, what we are hearing is that the goal right now is to quickly get the economy to recover. So, if this means that more stimulus checks have to go out, then that is what the Democrats are going to do. If this means creating more jobs, which is essentially what needs to be done in order to get the economy to rebound, the problem is, how do we do that? Well, that's what the infrastructure bill is meant to do. That is what former President Donald Trump tried to do, yet couldn't get anybody on board. So what we do know right now is, yes, there will be an infrastructure bill that's going to include a lot of, building roads, bridges, things like that. But it's also going to be a economic recovery, which is most likely going to include additional stimulus, according to the House Ways and Means Chairman, Richard Neal. So we will see what happens there. Right now, what we do know is Democrats are looking at every option and are not leaving anything off the table. According to Nancy Pelosi, she stated that in the Build Back Better plan, it is already in the works and they will continue to work on this until it is finalized. All reports right now do indicate that the way that everything is going right now, and the way the $900 billion stimulus package back in December, the $1.9 trillion stimulus package that was just passed, and then this $2 to $3 trillion Build Back Better plan, also known as the infrastructure bill, the way this is going to be paid for is going to be by increasing taxes. Well, we know reports indicate that President Biden wants to increase corporate taxes from 21%, which is what it currently is, and he wants to increase this up to 28%. People are like, no, that's way too high. But when you look at this, back in 2014 to 2016, the corporate tax rate was actually 39.1%. So, taking it from 21 to 28% is actually not that much of an increase. Yes, it is still fairly high, and we know these corporations are going to figure out ways to not pay taxes, but we will see when that time comes. These increases would also affect people, individuals like you and I. If you're making over $400,000 per year, you would be impacted by a tax increase. And Bloomberg has recently stated that this would raise around $2.1 trillion over the next 10 years. So it's not going to happen immediately, but it should help pay off what we just incurred. Previously, Senator Joe Manchin said that this was ridiculous to repeal the Trump tax cuts, but even more recently, he stated that everything's open for discussion. So right now, the one senator that is currently right in the middle and is pretty much the divide is saying right now everything is up for discussion. So that's at least good news. Now, and to those of you that have the argument that, well, if we, and again, I have this argument too, and this is why I want to bring this up, but a lot of people have been saying that if we raise taxes on large corporations, they're just going to leave. They're just going to leave the United States and go to a different country. And essentially it's a smart move for these corporations because they're saving more money, which they could eventually pay more, or their CEO or owner can just make more money, right? And kind of be the Jeff Bezos right now. So we'll see what happens there. But what we know right now is, according to Janet Yellen, she is working with countries nationally to forge an agreement on a global minimum tax on multinational corporations. What this means, okay, just let me explain this. So what the White House is trying to do is they want to get everybody on board to provide a minimum tax, nothing less than that. Okay, and if they do this, it would prevent large corporations from leaving certain countries and going to others. Now, we know the United States loses a lot of companies, a lot of large corporations, and they go and we pretty much just produce our products offshore. Well, it's cheaper for us that way. That's one of the reasons why we buy so many products from China. It would be more expensive to create those exact same products here in the United States. So we outsource it to China. Well, what the United States wants to do, according to the White House, they want to bring all these companies back, or at least charge them for the exact same rates, so that it doesn't matter what country they're in, they will be charged the exact same taxes And by doing so, most of these large corporations will go back to their home countries, whether it's the United States, France, Italy, it doesn't matter. They would most likely return. So what we see happen from this, again, right now it's still fairly new, but this is according to a report this morning, and this is what Janet Yellen was saying. Now, even though these are plans, and even though there are plans, okay, to pay for this $900 billion package and this $1.9 trillion that we just passed, which essentially, according to reports, we had about $1 trillion from the Trump administration that was left over in a rainy day fund. So right now we need to figure out how to pay for all this stuff, plus a $2 to $3 trillion Build Back Better plan, which is going to come up very soon. Some wonder, what else will be included into this next bill, and will we be able to afford it? Well, here's what I know right now. According to many reports, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is continuing to push President Biden for this student loan forgiveness. He wants him to sign an executive order and do it quickly to eliminate student loans. Right now, there's a handful of people that are pushing for this. Elizabeth Warren is one. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is another. There's a few others out there that are pushing for this as well, and a bunch of House representatives also. But we know student loans for students, they are behind by roughly $1.71 trillion. So that means right now, according to economists, they're saying, and according to Democrats, they're saying, and this is refuted by Republicans, obviously, but Democrats are saying, if we can give the student loan forgiveness of $1.71 trillion, that means we will have a $1.7 trillion stimulus, pretty much a stimulus that's going to go right back into the economy. So it's going to help out and it's going to rebound the economy very quickly. But Republicans are saying that just because a $1 trillion stimulus package or $1 trillion debt is waived, and that's owed by students, does not mean that these borrowers even have the money to then go and put this money into the economy. For example, let's say President Biden says, you know what, we're going to give you up to $50,000 in student loan forgiveness. But all I ask is, put this money back into the economy. Go and buy stuff, go and buy services, food, whatever, right? Travel. That's great. But how many students do you know? How many people that were ex-students, former students, do you know that have $50,000 laying around in the bank that they're willing to just go and spend on whatever? It's very few. So that's what Republicans are saying, is that it's going to take decades for this $1.7 trillion to make its way back into the economy. And that's where Democrats say, no, it won't. It's going to go very quickly. And that's where economists are like, yeah, I don't think $50,000 will work. And this is where President Biden and his advisors are currently saying up to $10,000 is probably the max that we can do, which makes sense. Up to $10,000 is more doable. $50,000, there's going to be a lot of people very upset that, well, if you're paying off student debt, why don't you pay off credit card debt as well? Well, that leads into a whole nother issue. Now, in addition to this provision, progressives are continuing to push for the $15 minimum wage. What we are hearing as of right now is that there are Republicans on board with a minimum wage increase. Now, what I want to say is that according to a few senators, they have spoken with their counterparts, their Republican colleagues. When I say a few senators, I'm talking about Democratic senators. They have spoken with some Senate Republicans, and they are on board with the minimum wage increase. However, every single one of them had issues, and including a few Democrats had issues with Bernie Sanders' bill and how he raised the minimum wage. Some were saying that he wanted to raise the minimum wage too quickly, and that they want to raise the minimum wage up to $15 per hour, but not over 4 years, most likely over 5, 6, maybe even 7. Others say that raising the minimum wage from $7.25 to $9.50 immediately would hurt struggling businesses, and some say that we should just wait until the pandemic is over before we even discuss this. Now, the reality right now is nobody wants to wait. They feel that waiting would only cause more harm. Congress will most likely come together and pass a stimulus or a standalone bill that includes a $15 minimum wage provision in it at some point, and it will most likely be a bipartisan bill. However, right now it's going to be very difficult to get a $15 minimum wage provision included simply because Democrats did not talk with Republicans and get their input on the $1.9 trillion bill. So as of right now, that is currently what's going on. Again, there's a lot of discussions. We're seeing new proposals come out every single day. As we get more information, I promise I will fill you in on all those updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on. I'll see you guys on the next one.